Commander Jake Miller stood in front of the big screen in the communication room. His hands shook as he watched the last green light turn red and then go dark. Earth had stopped talking to them 3 days ago. The silence felt like death itself. The mining station called Titan's Edge floated in the cold darkness of space, far from home. Jake had been running this place for 2 years now. It was supposed to be a simple job. Dig up rare metals from the rocks around the gas giant Kepler 442b. Send them back to Earth, get paid. Go home to his wife and kids someday. But now Earth was quiet. No messages, no orders. Nothing. Lieutenant Amy Foster ran into the room. Her face was white and her eyes were red from not sleeping. She had been sitting at the radio for 3 whole days, trying to hear something from home. Anything at all. Still nothing, Commander, she said. Her voice was rough and tired. The last message keeps playing over and over, but it's just the computer now. Earth isn't sending it anymore? Jake nodded. He knew what the message said. Everyone on the station knew it by heart now. It had been playing on repeat for days. You'll rue this war. The war had started 2 weeks ago. The Zephyrin Empire had come with their big ships and their powerful weapons. They wanted to take over Earth and all the human worlds. Earth's space defense forces had fought back hard, but the enemy had too many ships. The last real message from Earth Defense Command had been short. They think they know us. They don't. You'll rue this war. Then the fighting got worse. The reports stopped making sense. Ships disappearing, whole fleets going dark. And then 3 days ago, Earth went silent. Jake's mining crew had 43 people. They were good people. Engineers, miners, scientists, and support staff. They had families back on Earth. They had dreams of going home with enough money to buy a house or start a business. Now, they didn't know if there was still a home to go back to. Dr. Lisa Grant walked over to Jake. She was the smartest person on the station. She studied the rocks and the gases and the weird energy readings they sometimes picked up. She looked worried. Commander, I've been looking at the data from Earth's solar system, she said. Something strange happened there. The energy patterns don't match what we'd expect from a normal space battle. Jake turned to look at her. What do you mean? Well, when ships blow up or planets get bombed, they leave certain energy signatures. Heat, radiation, debris fields. But what I'm seeing from Earth's area is different. It's like the whole solar system got wrapped in some kind of energy field and then moved. Moved? Amy asked. You mean like teleported? Lisa nodded slowly. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what the readings suggest. Earth didn't get destroyed. It got relocated to somewhere else. Somewhere we can't detect. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. That's impossible. Nobody has that kind of technology. Nobody we know about, Lisa said quietly. The 3 of them stood in silence for a moment. Outside the station's windows, the gas giant Kepler 442b turned slowly, its colorful clouds swirling in patterns that looked almost like faces. Jake had always found it beautiful before. Now it just reminded him how far from home they were. Commander, Amy said, what do we do now? We have food for 6 months, maybe 8 if we're careful. The next supply ship from Earth was supposed to come in 3 weeks. But if Earth is gone? Jake didn't answer right away. He was thinking about his crew. Most of them were young. They had joined the mining operation to see the galaxy and make some money. They didn't sign up for this. They didn't sign up to be possibly the last free humans in the universe. We keep working, he said finally. We keep the station running. We keep listening for any signals, and we hope. But hope was getting harder to find. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for being cruel. They didn't just conquer worlds. They enslaved the people or killed them all. In the past 10 years, they had taken over 17 different star systems. Nobody had ever beaten them in a war. Engineers Kate Morgan and Dan Clark walked into the communication room. They looked as tired as everyone else. Kate had been checking the station's systems to make sure everything was working. Don had been trying to contact other human outposts. Any luck reaching the other mining stations? Jake asked Don. Don shook his head. Nothing from the stations at Volf 359 or Vega. Either they're not getting our signals or they're not there anymore. Kate stepped forward. Commander, I found something weird in our computer systems. There are some programs I've never seen before. They're locked behind security codes I don't recognize. Military-grade stuff, Jake frowned. What kind of programs? I'm not sure. They're labeled as deep scan protocols and network monitoring systems, but we're just a mining station. Why would we need that kind of software? Lisa looked interested. Can you access them? Not with my clearance level. They need authorization from Earth Defense Command or higher. Jake thought about that. Earth Defense Command was gone. Their authorization codes probably didn't work anymore. But maybe there was another way. Keep trying, he told Kate. Try every code combination you can think of. If Earth is really gone, then normal rules don't apply anymore. As the days passed, Jake noticed changes in his crew. They were scared, but they were also getting angry. These were tough people. They had chosen to work in the dangerous business of deep space mining. They weren't going to give up without a fight. Amy had started training some of the miners to use the station's few weapons. They only had mining. Lasers and some old defense guns, but it was better than nothing. If the Zephyrians came looking for them, they would at least make the aliens work for their victory. Lisa spent all her time studying the energy readings from Earth's solar system. She was convinced that something important had happened there. Something that might give them hope? The pattern is too organized to be random, she told Jake one evening. It's like Earth activated some kind of massive technology. Something that moved the entire solar system to another dimension or location. But why would they do that? Jake asked. Why not just fight? Maybe they couldn't win by fighting. Maybe they had a different plan. Jake thought about Earth's last message again. You'll rue this war. It sounded like a threat, but what if it was something else? What if it was a promise? The next morning, Kate burst into Jake's office with excitement in her eyes. Commander, I got into those locked programs. You're not going to believe what I found. Jake followed her to the computer room. On the screen was a display he had never seen before. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of blinking dots. What am I looking at? Jake asked. These are monitoring stations, hidden throughout human space. And Commander, they're not just monitoring, they're watching for something. Something called the Sleepers. Jake stared at the screen. The Sleepers? According to these files, our mining operation was just a cover story. This whole station is actually part of a secret network. We've been guarding something and we didn't even know it. As Jake looked at the display, he realized that Earth's silence might not be the end of the story. It might just be the beginning. The message, "You'll rue this war," was starting to make sense in a completely different way. Maybe the Zephyrians had made a big mistake when they attacked humanity. Maybe they were about to learn that humans were not as helpless as they appeared. And maybe, just maybe, Earth's silence was not surrender. It was preparation. The alarm bells started ringing at 0600 hours. Jake Miller jumped out of his bed and ran to the control room. Amy Foster was already there, her fingers flying over the controls. What's happening? Jake asked, still putting on his uniform. We're picking up a distress signal, Amy said. It's weak, but it's definitely human. About 2 hours away at maximum speed. Jake felt his heart jump. They hadn't heard from another human in over a week. Can you tell who it is? The signal is damaged, but I think it's from a scout ship. The call sign looks like it might be from the Proxima Centauri system. Jake grabbed the communication device. This is Commander Miller of Titan's Edge, human vessel. Please respond. The response came through crackling static. This is Captain Ben Hayes of the scout ship Ranger. My ship is badly damaged, life support failing. Please help. We're on our way, Captain Hayes. Hold tight. Jake turned to his crew. Kate, get the rescue shuttle ready. Dong, plot a course to the distress signal. Lisa, prepare the medical bay. We might have injured people coming in. The rescue took 4 hours. When they brought Captain Hayes aboard, he looked like he had been through hell. His uniform was torn and burned. His face was covered in cuts and bruises, but his eyes were the worst part. They looked like someone who had seen too much. Dr. Lisa Grant worked on Hayes in the medical bay while Jake waited outside. When she finally came out, she looked worried. "He's going to live," she said, "but he's been through something terrible. His ship was hit by Zephyrian weapons, but he managed to escape. He's been drifting in space for almost a week. Can he talk?" Jake asked. "He's awake, but he's pretty shaken up. He keeps saying something about Protocol Omega." Jake had never heard of Protocol Omega. He went into the medical bay where Hayes was lying on a bed, staring at the ceiling. "Captain Hayes, I'm Commander Miller. You're safe now." Hayes turned his head to look at Jake. His eyes were filled with pain and fear. "Safe?" Hayes laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Commander, nowhere is safe anymore. The Zephyrians didn't just attack Earth, they hit everything. Every human world, every colony, every station, all at the same time." Jake felt cold. "What do you mean, everything?" "Mars, Europa, the asteroid. Belt stations, Alpha Centauri, Proxima Centauri, Volf 359, Vega. Every single human settlement was attacked within a 6-hour window. It was planned perfectly. They knew exactly where we were and how to hit us." Hayes sat up slowly, wincing from his injuries. "But that's not the worst part, Commander." "The worst part is what happened at Proxima Centauri before the colony fell." Jake pulled up a chair. "Tell me." "The colonists there didn't fight like normal people. They didn't use regular weapons or tactics. Instead, they activated something they called Protocol Omega. I've never heard of it before, but it was like they had been preparing for this day their whole lives." Hayes looked out the window at the stars. "They evacuated all the civilians to underground shelters. Then the military personnel did something strange. They went to specific locations around the colony and activated some kind of devices. Big machines that had been hidden underground." "What kind of devices?" Jake asked. "I don't know. But when they turned them on, the whole planet started glowing. Not with fire or explosions, but with this weird blue light. The Zephyrian ships that were attacking suddenly stopped moving. They just hung there in space like they were frozen." Jake leaned forward. "What happened next?" "That's when I had to run. My ship was damaged and I barely made it out of the system. But as I was leaving, I saw something impossible. The Zephyrian ships weren't shooting anymore. They were just floating there, and the blue light from the planet was reaching out to them like fingers." Hayes grabbed Jake's arm. "Commander, I think the humans at Proxima Centauri did something to those ships. Something that wasn't destruction. It was like they were changing them somehow." Kate Morgan walked into the medical bay. She had been listening from the doorway. "Captain Hayes, I used to work for Earth's Deep Space Defense Corps before I joined this mining operation. What you're describing sounds like some of the classified projects I heard rumors about." Hayes looked at her with interest. "What kind of projects?" "Research stations that weren't really research stations. Mining operations that weren't really mining operations. Construction projects in empty space that nobody was allowed to ask questions about." Kate sat down next to Jake. "For the past 50 years, Earth has been building things throughout human space. Secret installations that were disguised as normal facilities. Nobody knew what they were for, but they required the highest security clearances." Jake thought about their own station. "Like the hidden programs we found in our computers?" "Exactly. I think every human facility has been part of some larger plan. A plan that most of us didn't know about." Hayes nodded slowly. "That would explain what I saw at other systems before I reached Proxima Centauri. Even the colonies that were being attacked weren't fighting normally. They were activating things, waking something up." Amy Foster came into the medical bay with a worried expression. "Commander, you need to hear this. I've been monitoring all frequencies since Captain Hayes arrived. The Zephyrian fleets that attacked the human colonies aren't going home." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "They're holding position around the conquered worlds, all of them. Like they're waiting for something. It's not normal behavior for them. Usually they take what they want and move on to the next target." Hayes sat up straighter. "That's what I was trying to remember. At Proxima Centauri, after the blue light touched their ships, the Zephyrians stopped acting like Zephyrians. They stopped attacking, but they didn't leave either. They just waited." Lisa Grant had been quiet during the conversation, but now she spoke up. The energy readings I've been studying from Earth's solar system show similar patterns to what Captain Hayes is describing. The same kind of blue light energy signature. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the gas giant Kepler 442b continued its slow rotation, but now it looked different to him. Now it looked like it might be hiding secrets too. So you're saying that Earth and all the human colonies had some kind of secret defense system that we didn't know about? Jake asked. Not just defense, Kate said. Something bigger. Something that's been in the works for decades, Hayes nodded. And I think the message that Earth kept broadcasting isn't just a threat to the Zephyrians. I think it's a signal. A code word that activates something. You'll rue this war? Amy said quietly. Exactly. What if those 4 words are the key to something huge? Something that's been waiting for the right moment to wake up? Jake felt a strange mixture of hope and fear. If his crew was right, then Earth's silence wasn't surrender. It was the calm before a storm that the Zephyrians had no idea was coming. Captain Hayes, how long do you think we have before the Zephyrians come looking for the outer stations like ours? Hayes thought for a moment. Based on their normal patterns, maybe 2 weeks? But if what we're thinking is true, if Earth really did have a secret plan, then things might start happening a lot sooner than that. Jake looked at his crew. These people had signed up for a simple mining job, but now they were potentially witnesses to the most important moment in human history. Then we need to figure out what our role is in all of this. Kate, I want you to access every hidden program in our computer system. Amy, keep monitoring all frequencies. Lisa, analyze every piece of data we have about these energy patterns. And Captain Hayes, I want you to tell us everything you remember about what happened at Proxima Centauri. As his crew went to work, Jake remained by the window. Somewhere out there, the Zephyrian Empire thought they had won the war against humanity. But Jake was starting to suspect that the war hadn't even really started yet. The message, "You'll rue this war," was beginning to sound less like a dying threat and more like a promise that was about to be kept. Dr. Lisa Grant had not slept for 2 days. She sat in her laboratory, surrounded by screens showing energy patterns and data streams. Her coffee cup was empty, but she didn't notice. She was too focused on what she was seeing. The numbers didn't. The energy signature from Earth's solar system was impossible, according to everything she knew about physics. But there it was, clear as day on her instruments. "Jake, you need to see this," she called out. Commander Jake Miller walked into the lab, followed by Captain Ben Hayes. Hayes was feeling better after a day of rest, but his eyes still held the haunted look of someone who had seen his world destroyed. "What did you find, Lisa?" Jake asked. Lisa pointed to her main screen. "Remember how I said Earth might have been moved somewhere else? Well, I was right. Look at these quantum field readings." The screen showed a complex pattern of waves and energy spikes. To Jake, it looked like random noise, but Lisa's excitement told him it was something important. "I've been comparing these readings to theoretical models from the university database," Lisa continued. "This pattern matches something called dimensional phase shifting. It's a technology that only exists in research papers. Nobody has ever actually built it." Hayes leaned forward. "What does that mean in simple terms?" "It means Earth wasn't destroyed or conquered. It was moved to another dimension, a pocket of space-time that exists parallel to our own reality. Earth is still there, but it's hidden from normal sensors." Jake felt a chill. How is that possible? Who has that kind of technology? That's the question I've been asking myself. The energy requirements alone would be massive. You'd need power sources that humanity doesn't have, unless ... Lisa paused, her eyes widening. "Unless what?" Jake asked. "Unless humanity had help. Help from someone with much more advanced technology." Before Jake could respond, Kate Morgan's voice came over the intercom. "Commander, you need to get to the computer room right now. I found something big." The 3 of them hurried to the computer room where Kate was standing in front of a wall of screens. Her face was pale, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "I finally cracked the security on those hidden programs," Kate said. "And Jake, we're not minors. We never were." Jake stared at the screens. They showed star maps, energy readings, and lists of coordinates throughout the galaxy. In the center of the main screen was a logo he had never seen before. It showed a stylized eye surrounded by geometric patterns. "What is all this?" Jake asked. "We're Guardians," Kate said. "This entire station is part of a network called the Watcher Protocol. There are dozens of stations like ours scattered throughout human space. We've been monitoring something for the past 50 years. She pointed to a list of names on the screen. Alpha 7 near Volf 359, Deep Survey Platform Charlie in the Vega system, Mining Station Beta 12 in the Tau Ceti system. All of them are part of the same network." Hayes read the names carefully. "I recognize some of these locations. They're all places where the Zephyrians attacked human colonies." "Exactly," Kate said. "And look at this." She brought up another screen showing a timeline. These stations were all built at the same time, 50 years ago. They were all disguised as civilian operations, but they were really watching for something called the Sleepers. Jake felt his heart racing. "The Sleepers? What are they?" Kate's fingers danced over the keyboard. "According to these files, the Sleepers are ancient artificial intelligence systems. They've been dormant for thousands of years, waiting for the right signal to wake them up." Lisa suddenly gasped. "The energy patterns, the dimensional phase shifting, it all makes sense now. Earth didn't develop this technology on their own. They found it." She rushed to her computer and began pulling up her research. 50 years ago, humanity must have discovered these ancient AI systems. They've been secretly preparing for this day ever since. Hayes stood up slowly. "The blue light I saw at Proxima Centauri. The way the Zephyrian ships just stopped moving. That was the AI systems waking up, wasn't it?" Kate nodded. "And the message that Earth kept broadcasting, 'You'll rue this war,' wasn't a threat to the Zephyrians. It was a wake-up call for the ancient Ayas." Jake's mind was racing. "So you're saying that for 50 years, humanity has been secretly preparing for an alien invasion by working with ancient artificial intelligence?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," Kate replied. "And it gets better. Look at this." She brought up a new screen showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of small dots were scattered across the map, most of them dark, but some beginning to glow with soft light. These are the AI installations that humanity has been monitoring. Most of them have been dormant for millennia. But ever since Earth started broadcasting that message, they've been waking up one by one. Jake stared at the map. "There are so many of them. The ancient civilization that built these A's was incredibly advanced. They seeded defensive systems throughout the galaxy before they disappeared. Humanity just had to find them and figure out how to activate them." Amy Foster burst into the computer room, her face flushed with excitement. "Commander, I just made contact with Alpha 7 station near Volf 359. They're still operational, and they have news." Jake turned to her. "What kind of news?" "The Zephyrian fleet that attacked the Volf 359 system is still there, but they're not acting like conquerors anymore. The station commander says the alien ships are just floating in space, not responding to any communications. It's like they're waiting for orders that will never come." Hayes nodded grimly. "Same thing I saw at Proxima Centauri. The A's aren't just defending against the Zephyrians. They're doing something to them." Lisa brought up another screen showing energy readings from various star systems. "Look at this. Every system where the Zephyrians attacked is now showing the same energy signature. The ancient A's are connecting to each other, forming a network." Kate pointed to a new section of data that had just appeared. "And here's the really interesting part. The AI network is trying to communicate with us. It's sending signals to all the Watcher stations." Jake felt a mixture of excitement and fear. "Can we understand what it's saying?" "I'm working on it," Kate said, "but from what I can tell, it's some kind of test. The AI network wants to know if humanity is ready for the next step." "What next step?" Jake asked Dot before Kate could answer. All the screens in the room suddenly changed. The various displays were replaced by a single image. It was the same geometric pattern they had seen in the station's logo, but now it was moving, pulsing with Soft light, then a voice spoke. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, like the station itself was talking. "Greetings, watchers of the third spiral arm," the voice said. It sounded ancient and wise, but also somehow familiar. "We have slept for 47,000 years, waiting for a species worthy of our trust." Jake's crew stood frozen, staring at the pulsing pattern on the screens. "The aggressive species you call Zephyrians have been contained. Their vessels are under our control. But we must determine if your species is ready to join the galactic community of ascended civilizations." The voice paused, and Jake could hear his own heartbeat in the silence. "You have shown wisdom in awakening us rather than attempting to fight alone, but wisdom is not enough. You must prove that you can choose creation over destruction, cooperation over domination." The pattern on the screens began to change, forming what looked like a question mark. "The beings you call Zephyrians are not evil. They are simply young and afraid. Their aggression comes from fear of extinction. You have the power to destroy them completely, or you can choose to help them evolve beyond their current limitations." Jake realized that the test had already begun. The ancient AI network had given humanity incredible power, but now they had to decide how to use it. "The choice is yours, watchers. But know that your decision will determine not only the fate of your species, but the future of all life in this galaxy." The screens went dark, leaving Jake and his crew in stunned silence. They had wanted answers, but now they faced the biggest decision in human history. The silence in the computer room lasted for several minutes. Jake Miller and his crew stared at the dark screens, trying to process what they had just heard. The ancient AI network had given them an impossible choice, and the weight of it felt crushing. Amy Foster was the first to speak. "Did that really just happen? Did we just talk to a 40-7-1000-year-old artificial intelligence?" Kate Morgan nodded slowly. "The energy readings confirm it. That signal came from everywhere at once. The entire network was speaking to U.S. Captain Ben Hayes sat down heavily in a chair. "So the Zephyrians are prisoners now? They have control of their ships?" "That's what it sounded like," Lisa Grant said. "But they're not just prisoners. The AI said we have to choose what happens to them." Jake walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the most powerful artificial intelligence network in the galaxy was waiting for humanity to make a decision that would affect every living being. "Commander," Kate said quietly, "I'm getting signals from other watcher stations. Alpha 7, Deep Survey Platform Charlie, and 12 others. They all heard the same message." Jake turned back to his crew. "Can we talk to them?" "Yes, sir. The AI network has open communication channels between all the human stations. We can talk to any of them now." "Put me through to Alpha 7 first." The main screen flickered to life, showing a man in his 50s with graying hair and tired eyes. Jake recognized the look. It was the same expression he saw in the mirror every morning since this crisis began. "Commander Miller?" "This is Commander Frank Lopez of Alpha 7. I assume you got the same message we did?" "Yes, sir." "What's your situation?" "There," Lopez rubbed his forehead. "Confusing. The Zephyrian fleet that was attacking the Volf 359 colony has completely stopped fighting. Their ships are just floating in space around the planet. But here's the strange part. The colonists are alive." Jake felt a surge of hope. "The Zephyrians didn't kill them?" "No. According to the colony administrator, the aliens had just started landing troops when everything changed. The blue light appeared, and suddenly the Zephyrian soldiers just stopped moving. They're still standing where they were, but they're not doing anything. It's like they're sleeping with their eyes open." Lisa leaned toward the screen. "Commander Lopez, are you seeing any energy readings from the planet's surface?" "Massive ones. The same blue light that Captain Hayes described at Proxima Centauri. It's covering the entire planet now, and it seems to be studying the Zephyrians." Jake felt a chill. "Studying them how?" "The colonists report that the blue light seems to be scanning the alien soldiers. Like it's reading their minds or something. And here's the really weird part. Some of the Zephyrians have started to change." Change how? Hayes asked. Their aggressive behavior is disappearing. A few of them have actually tried to communicate with the colonists. Not in their usual demanding way, but like they're confused and looking for help. Jake exchanged glances with his crew. The AI network wasn't just containing the Zephyrians. It was changing them at a fundamental level. Kate brought up another communication channel. Commander Miller, I've got Deep Survey Platform Charlie on the line. Same story there. The Zephyrians have stopped fighting, and they're being affected by the blue light. Over the next hour, Jake talked to commanders from 14 different watcher stations. The pattern was the same everywhere. The ancient AI network had taken control of every Zephyrian ship and soldier in human space. But instead of destroying them, it was transforming them. Dr. Grant had been analyzing the data from all the stations. Jake, I think I understand what the AI network is doing. It's not just stopping the invasion. It's trying to cure the Zephyrians of their aggressive instincts. Cure them? Jake asked. Think about it. The AI said the Zephyrians aren't evil, just young and afraid. Their whole culture is based on conquering others because they're terrified of being conquered themselves. The network is removing that fear. Hayes nodded thoughtfully. That would explain what I saw at Proxima Centauri. The Zephyrian ships didn't explode or crash. They just stopped being aggressive. Amy looked up from her communication station. Commander, I'm getting reports from civilian ships throughout human space. Everywhere the blue light has appeared, it's not just affecting Zephyrians. It's fixing things. What do you mean, fixing things? Jake asked. Broken equipment is repairing itself. Polluted planets are becoming clean again. Even injured people are healing faster than normal. It's like the AI network is upgrading everything it touches. Kate brought up a new display showing the galaxy map. The number of glowing dots had tripled since they first saw it. The network is expanding rapidly. More AI installations are waking up every hour. Jake studied the map. How many installations are there total? Based on the pattern, I'd estimate around 50,000 throughout the galaxy. Maybe more. The magnitude of what they were witnessing hit Jake like a physical blow. An artificial intelligence network with 50,000 installations had been waiting in the galaxy for 47,000 years. Humanity had accidentally awakened the most powerful force in known space. Commander, Amy said urgently, I'm getting a priority signal from Earth's solar system. Jake's heart jumped. Earth? Yes, sir? It's coming from the dimensional pocket where Earth was moved. They're trying to communicate. The main screen changed to show a woman in an Earth Defense Command uniform. She looked exhausted but hopeful. This is Admiral Sarah Martinez, Acting Commander of Earth Defense. To all watcher stations, please respond. Jake stepped forward. Admiral, this is Commander Miller of Titan's Edge. We're here. Martinez smiled with obvious relief. Commander Miller. Thank God, we've been trying to reach the outer stations since the network activated. How many of you are still operational? At least 14 stations are responding, Admiral. What's your situation? Earth is safe in the dimensional pocket, but we're monitoring everything that's happening in normal space. The AI network is performing exactly as we hoped, but faster than we expected. Jake felt a mixture of relief and confusion. Admiral, how long have you known about the ancient AIs? 53 years, Commander. We discovered the first installation in 2972 during a deep space exploration mission. It took us decades to understand what we had found and figure out how to communicate with it. Martinez looked directly at Jake through the screen. Commander, the network has been testing humanity all this time. Every crisis we've faced, every challenge we've overcome, has been part of their evaluation. The Zephyrian invasion was the final test. What kind of test? Jake asked. A test of wisdom. The network gave us the power to defeat the Zephyrians completely. We could have used their technology to build weapons that would destroy the entire Zephyrian Empire. But instead, we chose to awaken the AIs and ask for their help. Lisa stepped forward. Admiral, the network is asking us to make another choice. About what happens to the Zephyrians now? Martinez nodded gravely. Yes, Commander Grant. and that choice will determine whether humanity is ready to join the galactic community. The network has been guiding species toward evolution for millions of years. Some choose wisdom and ascend to higher levels of existence. Others choose violence and are left to develop on their own. Jake understood now. The Zephyrians aren't our enemies. They're our test. Exactly. If we choose to help them evolve instead of destroying them, we prove that humanity is ready for the next step in our development. But if we choose revenge or domination, we fail the test. The weight of the decision felt enormous. Jake looked at his crew. These ordinary people who had found themselves at the center of the most important moment in galactic history. Admiral, how much time do we have to decide? The network is patient, Commander. But every moment we delay, more Zephyrian ships are being converted. Soon, the old aggressive Zephyrian Empire will be gone forever, replaced by something new. The question is whether humanity will be part of shaping what comes next. As Jake considered the choice before them, he realized that Earth's final message had been more prophetic than anyone could have imagined. The Zephyrians would indeed rue their war, not because they would be destroyed, but because it would transform them into something they never thought they could be. Jake Miller stood in the communication room of Titan's Edge, looking at the faces of 14 station commanders on his screens. Each one was waiting for someone to make the most important decision in human history. The weight of 50,000 ancient AI installations, millions of transformed Zephyrians, and the future of galactic civilization rested on what they chose to do next. Commanders, Jake said finally, we all heard what the network told us. We have the power to destroy the Zephyrian Empire completely, or we can choose to help them become something better. What do you think we should do? Commander Frank Lopez from Alpha 7 spoke first. Jake, the Zephyrians killed thousands of humans. They destroyed colonies. They came here to enslave or wipe us out. Why should we help them? Commander Rachel Stone from Deep Survey Platform Charlie disagreed. Frank, that's exactly the kind of thinking that got us into this mess. The AI network said the Zephyrians are afraid. They attack others because they're terrified of being attacked themselves. If we choose revenge, we prove we're no better than they are. Captain Ben Hayes, who had remained quiet during most of the conversation, finally spoke up. I saw what happened at Proxima Centauri. I watched the blue light touch those Zephyrian ships. Whatever the network is doing to them, it's not torture, it's healing. Dr. Lisa Grant brought up her analysis on the main screen. Commanders, look at this data. Every planet where the network has intervened is showing massive improvements. Polluted atmospheres are becoming clean. Damaged ecosystems are recovering. Even the Zephyrian soldiers who have been transformed are healthier than they were before. Amy Foster added her own observations. I've been monitoring communications from the affected systems. The transformed Zephyrians are trying to help repair the damage their invasion caused. They're working alongside human colonists to rebuild what was destroyed. Jake listened to his people and felt a growing certainty about what they should do. These were good people, people who had chosen to risk their lives working in the dangerous void of deep space. If they could see past their fear and anger to choose compassion, then maybe humanity really was ready for the next step. I've made my decision, Jake announced. But before I share it, I want to hear from everyone. This choice will affect all of us, so everyone gets a vote. One by one, the station commanders cast their votes. Some chose revenge, wanting to use the network's power to destroy the Zephyrian Empire completely. Others chose compassion, believing that helping their former enemies evolve was the right thing to do. When the voting was finished, the result was clear. 11 commanders had chosen to help the Zephyrians. Only 3 had chosen destruction. Jake felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. The decision is made. We choose to help the Zephyrians evolve. As soon as he spoke those words, every screen in every station lit up with the same pulsing geometric pattern they had seen before. The ancient voice spoke again, but this time it sounded pleased. You have chosen wisdom over vengeance. You have proven that your species is ready to join the galactic community of ascended civilizations. The pattern on the screens began to change, forming images that showed the history of the galaxy. Jake saw countless species rising and falling, some achieving greatness while others destroyed themselves. For 47,000 years, we have guided species toward transcendence. Most fail the test of wisdom. They use the power we offer to dominate others rather than uplift them. But you have chosen differently. The images shifted to show what was happening throughout human and Zephyrian space. The blue light was spreading to every world, every ship, every installation. But instead of conquering or controlling, it was healing and improving everything it touched. The beings you called Zephyrians are experiencing what your species will soon understand. Fear-based aggression is being replaced with curiosity and cooperation. Their desire to conquer is becoming a desire to explore and create. Jake watched as the screens showed Zephyrian soldiers working alongside human colonists. Former enemies were building new cities together, sharing technology and knowledge. The transformation was happening faster than anyone had expected. Admiral Martinez appeared on the communication channel from Earth. Commander Miller, we're monitoring the changes from here. The network is offering humanity the same transformation it's giving the Zephyrians. Enhanced intelligence, extended lifespans, and the ability to travel between dimensions. Jake felt excited but also cautious. What's the catch, Admiral? There is no catch, Commander. But there is a responsibility. Species that accept transcendence become guides for others who are still developing. We would help other civilizations reach the same level we're achieving. Dr. Grant looked fascinated. So we would become teachers? Helping other species evolve like the network helped us? Exactly, the ancient voice confirmed. The galaxy is vast and full of young species struggling with the same fears and aggression that once plagued both humans and Zephyrians. Your role would be to guide them toward wisdom and cooperation. Kate Morgan brought up a new display showing the current state of the galaxy. Commander, look at this. The network isn't just active in our area anymore. It's awakening installations throughout the entire galaxy. This is happening everywhere. The scope of what they were witnessing was incredible. An artificial intelligence network that had been built by an ancient civilization was now awakening across the entire galaxy, offering transcendence to any species. Wise enough to accept it, over the following days, Jake watched as both human and Zephyrian societies transformed. The changes were dramatic but peaceful. People who had been filled with fear and hatred were learning to cooperate and create together. Technologies that had been used for war were being converted for exploration and healing. The mining station, Titan's Edge, became something entirely new. The AI network converted it into a diplomatic outpost where humans and Zephyrians worked together to contact other species and offer them the same choice that humanity had faced. Captain Hayes, who had once been a soldier fighting against the Zephyrians, became an ambassador helping former enemies understand their new role in the galaxy. Dr. Grant found herself studying technologies that were millions of years ahead of anything humans had ever imagined. Engineer Kate Morgan worked with Zephyrian technicians to build ships that could travel between dimensions. Jake's role changed too. Instead of commanding a mining operation, he became a coordinator for first contact missions. The network had identified dozens of species throughout the galaxy that were ready for the same tests that humans and Zephyrians had faced. 3 months after the transformation began, Jake received a message that made him smile. It was from his wife on Earth. She told him that their children were excelling in the new schools where human and Zephyrian teachers worked together. The fear and hatred that had driven the war were becoming distant memories. The message, "You'll rue this war," had turned out to be the most accurate prediction in galactic history. The Zephyrians did rue their war, but not because they had been defeated. They regretted it because it had taken so long for them to discover what they could become when they stopped being afraid. As Jake looked out the window of his transformed station, he saw ships from dozens of different species arriving for their first diplomatic meetings. Former enemies were becoming friends, and friends were becoming family in a growing galactic community. The war that had threatened to destroy humanity had instead become the beginning of a new age of cooperation and exploration. The last transmission from Earth had been transformed from a threat into a promise that was finally being fulfilled. Jake picked up his communication device to record his final log entry as a mining station commander. "This is Commander Jake Miller of Diplomatic Outpost. Titan's Edge, the mining operation is officially closed. The war is over. The real work of building a better galaxy has just begun." He paused, thinking about how much had changed since that terrible day when Earth went silent. Final note: sometimes the end of one thing is really the beginning of something much better. The Zephyrians came to conquer us, but instead they helped us discover what we were really capable of becoming. I guess that's what the network meant when it said we would all rue this war. We regret that it took a war to bring us together, but we're grateful for what we've become because of it. Jake smiled as he ended the recording. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, other species were facing the same choice that humans and Zephyrians had faced. And thanks to the wisdom shown by a small crew on a distant mining station, they would have guides to help them choose transcendence over destruction. The last transmission from Earth had become the first message of a new galactic civilization.